So let's talk about why I mostly read light novels these days and why regular fiction just doesn't seem to click with me much anymore. Hi, my name's Gerald. Welcome back to Workshopium, and this is another episode of the Car Chat series. So, I've been thinking about this lately because in the past I used to read fantasy novels. That was my big thing. I would read fantasy novels, and then I would adopt these projects where I would read a science fiction novel or a contemporary fiction novel, something along those lines, right? Occasionally, I throw in your standard run-of-the-mill... God, my hair's a mess. I throw in your standard run-of-the-mill, big ideas, fiction, non-fiction text, and I would build off of that, right? But... Was that over there? Okay. Sorry. But the key is I found over time what I really enjoy reading is light novels, because with light novels there are so many different genres and different themes. For example, this one right here is You're Born as a Space Mercenary. This is like my current favorite go-to popcorn read. And it's popcorn food, okay? There is nothing of substance in this series whatsoever. But it's got cute girls, it's got great action, and it's a lot of fun. And I keep finding myself, the older I get, wanting to read this type of fiction more and contemporary fiction less, because it doesn't really appeal to me on the same level. It's like they are trying too hard to try to sell me on the idea of, let me see, back it up. A lot of modern books are doing too much to try to sell me on this 400, 500 page epic that's going to have all these intricate plot lines where people are intersecting, and yet they all want to be treated with this type of reverence, this type of respect. You know what I mean? But a light novel is something you pick up, you read it in a day, and you throw it aside, and you're done. And it's going to be a light fluff read. What I kind of think it is that it links back to detective novels. See, when I was age 20, I discovered the writings of Raymond Chandler and his titular character, Philip Marlowe. Oh, and there is this interesting shift I notice in fiction that happened somewhere around the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where we move away from these first-person perspective of introspective tales where we are pretty much sitting inside the mind of a man who's going on an adventure, and we are then placed into this space, this space of third person where everything is being directed. Nowadays, if you go to the bookstore, a solid 85% of every book you're going to see on those shelves are third person fiction. And third person fiction is really good at painting a scene. Because it's like you have a table full of miniatures in front of you, right? You're able to maneuver characters about and able to describe every which angle. But when you try to say a character's thoughts, well, it gets a little clumsy. And it's a little interesting that you have to kind of use like this weird omniscient tone quirk in order to imply what the character is thinking. So if you have a titular character, what I do when I write third person is I use italics. And every time he has a thought, it's written in italic, and when he's not thinking, it's written in standard text. This is not a perfect solution, though, because this requires a formatting choice in order to convey thought. And I've seen other authors where they simply say, he thought, or, oh, you would do that. Like the narrator who is describing the scene from the outside is also the person who is telling the story, which causes this type of meta-fictional friction that doesn't click. But with first-person fiction, we sink directly into the seat of the character, and we're stuck to sit there with him. And when I read old science fiction or old detective novels, you will see it constantly say, I this, I did this, I did that, and vice versa. It's like I reach for the door and turn the handle. Well, you start to see where you begin to sink into these patterns. And that died off in America, more or less, okay? We rarely see that. But if you go over to Japan, Japanese literature is full of these first-person introspective tales where you're being told these stories from the eyes of the main character, right? And it's these type of things that make me think that I resonate with light novels more than regular novels sometimes. Like, I'll read a ton of manga too, and I'll read other things, but the fact of the matter is everybody's recommending all these stories to people, and they're like, oh, you should read this, you should read that. And not one of them is really addressing the elephant in the room. The fact that sometimes men want to see TNA. Sometimes men want to see action. They want to see big geopolitics. They want to see like these huge ethical dilemmas that can straddle this borderline. And the fact of the matter is that at some point the American publishing industry has become so censored, so nihilized, that these topics have become taboo in men's fiction. And now you'll see extremely taboo topics in women's fiction, but when it comes to books written for men by men, you don't really see any explorations of a human character. You only see like the idealized form. And so I look at this, man, and I'm kind of like it's a little odd. Now, mind you, I do have some criticisms, okay? Because there are some things that some light novels get up to that just don't make sense, and the scheduling for light novels is obscene, and which is why they tend to be written with much simpler language. Now, am I saying that simpler language is better than complicated language? Not in the slightest, okay? We're not talking about academic texts here where we need to explain everything word by word to the reader, but sometimes simplicity equals speed of thought, and the faster we can think and make associations, the easier it can go, okay? But, like I was saying, there is something seriously wrong with the American publishing industry in a whole, like the pricing. The pricing here in America for books in general does not make sense. Like, it's batshit insane. Does not make sense. Okay, I have a literal price index of books on my bookshelf right now at my house. It's the Sword Art Online series. Okay, I have almost all, with the exception of the last 3 most recent books in the series. That's 27 books is how many I have. And there's like 30, 31, something like that. I haven't bothered to go get the last 3 because the price just keeps stair-stepping, and also I kind of feel like half of me is like, I want to do the completionist thing and finish the damn thing, but the other half of me is like, this author wants Kirito to die. So if he wants his own character to die, and he's clearly being pushed by publishers to write, because I looked up the publication schedule for, I did a little bit of research when I was diving into him. And Reiki Kawahara, do you know how many books that man writes a year? He writes 6. He writes 6 books a year that are all around 200 to 250 pages. Can you even imagine what I'm talking about when I say that? Like, if I try to even get a calculator up here, okay? Which I'm not sure if this thing will work fast enough to get a calculator up. Alright, let's see. 250 times 250 times 6. Okay? The man is literally writing 5,000. That can't be right. No, it's got to be an extra 0. So he's writing 375. I have 375,000. So we're talking about, with all the zeros behind it, words per year to get his books out. And that's just me averaging if he's doing a 50,000 to 60,000 in book. So let me do that math again, okay? So let's do 60K. Sorry about this. Okay, 60K times 6. And the man is writing around 360,000 words a year. Or to write 6 books a year, and he has to release a book every 2 months. Underneath that type of pressure, nobody in their right mind is going to be able to keep any sense of cohesion of the story going on. At some point, he just starts slapping in random things into the novel series. Like, you thought the show was random. Oh my god, you have not seen the books. And the books, it goes from being, how can I express this? From like a online death survival game to a we have to rescue the princess story, plus mind control government conspiracy, to we are now digital cops hunting down serial killers in the real world, to here is a tragic story about an AIDS victim, and we have to try to help her, to a full-blown Tom Clancy breakdown of the Japanese government is hiding things from the American government is using private American military contractors to attack the Japanese government to stop them from developing advanced drone technology. Do you see, like, the fucking jumps and genres here? Like, the goddamn story went off the goddamn rails. Oh yeah, then it becomes Warhammer 40k for, like, one book, and then that plot thread is forgotten. They also do, like, a Wizard of Oz reference 3 times. Which, I realize now, I'm not really selling you on light novels by telling you the sheer insanity of that series alone. But you know, even though I think it's pure insanity, and it makes no goddamn sense for the story to be going there, it's really interesting. It's really fun to look at it and be able to have this commentary, to be able to talk and be like, dude, what the fuck is going to happen next? Because you really don't know. And that's something we can't really say about American series anymore. If somebody writes an American science fiction series or American fantasy series and it gets published, we kind of know what's going to happen. It's going to be like a Lord of the Rings-esque thing, or it's going to be a Game of Thrones-esque thing, or it's going to be another rendition of fucking Harry Potter, or it's going to be another rendition of Ringworld or of Star Wars. It's always the same trite, repeating over and over again. Like, what is Drizzt if not a rough retelling of Star Wars? Or mind you, I love the Drizzt novels, but still. Oh, and yet we have this massive venue of Japanese fiction that is coming out to America, and they're touching on all kinds of topics. Topics that are really, really, can either be really, really deep or really, really fucking shallow. Like, take for example, one of the ones I'm really partial to is Vampire Hunter D. Vampire Hunter D is fucking unreadable. Okay, make no mistake. It is unreadable. It is the opposite of what I was saying about light novels being simple. It is every illustrious phrase you can throw into the damn thing, to the point you don't even see the fucking scene, but you're just sitting there like, this guy just fucking crafted a linguistic nightmare to describe this scene. Like, he is shifting tenses and talking about the character and hyping him up mid-fight scene, and then we are swapping right back into the character and they're describing things I can't even really visualize what he's talking about. And that is so unique. That is so interesting. Another good light novel I can toss as a random recommendation is Yokohama Station Science Fiction, which is legitimately one of the most atmospheric science fiction novels I have ever read. It is technically classified as a light novel. It should not be. It is not a light novel. It is a proper science fiction novel in its own right. Most light novels have tropes. Tropes have entire stereotypes that we fall onto. Like, we have the tsundere stereotype. We have the elf side chick stereotype. We have all these stereotypes that come out of anime and adjacent culture that just do not exist in Yokohama Science Fiction. Yokohama Science Fiction is more in the vein of Neuromancer than it is light novels. And yet, when America brings it over here, does it get the Haruki Murakami treatment and be like, oh, no, this is actual fiction? No, they say it's a light novel. Which, we have to kind of question what the hell is going on there, too. But the final point I want to address is this, okay? Books here in America are obscenely overpriced. Do you know how much a book, brand new, fresh off the presses in Japan costs? I can go to Japan right now, and I can pick up a new volume of manga for like Lupin the Third, okay? $3.50. That's 350 yen. And current exchange rate, that's around $3. If I'm to change the exchange rate to be what it was when I was there, which when it was closer to 1-to-1, that'd be like $3.50, okay? I went to China. They are selling these beautifully ornate hardcover books for $10. They are trying to sell them to us for $30 to $50 here. Do you see how we're being ripped off? I like to point out the manga I picked up has a color insert in it too. We are being scammed by these people who are claiming that, oh, it's so expensive. Dude, it's not so expensive. It's you have set the price point so high that it doesn't make sense. Like, in the past, as my entire metric for what a book should cost was anywhere from like $5 to $9.95. And if it's a hardcover, maybe I'll toss in $15. And that's like my line. Now they want $12.95 for a softback. I have 13. I even saw one go up to $14.95 for a softback, no color inserts, no dust jacket, nothing, just a cheap, mass-produced, glue-on-stem book. So tell me, America, do you think we should be paying those prices? Alright, guys, I'm going to wrap this up now. I'm getting a little bit too caught up in my thing. I get really passionate about talking about books I actually enjoy. So, I want you guys to think about that, though. Should books cost that much? And if you're a man, and why don't you try reading either detective novels or looking at, if you don't like the idea of reading like all this contemporary fiction, look to like detective novels, because they have like a lot of good introspective advice that help you organize your life or tell you what not to be, okay? Or look at light novels just for the popcorn fluff fun of it, man, because it's so easy to slot yourself into the character and fit into the role. You get me? Alright, guys. I've been Gerald. This has been a Car Chat. Peace.